The Sukhoi Su-15, with NATO reporting name Flagon, was among the Soviet Union's top interceptors. However, its operational career was not distinguished. It was never exported abroad. Today, we're investigating the Su-15, the aircraft infamous for intercepting only airliners and balloons. The Su-15 was designed to protect Soviet airspace from NATO threats, yet its combat history mostly involves intercepting civilian aircraft and unarmed reconnaissance balloons. Nonetheless, it is a little-known fact that thanks to Flagon, we can today see fencers, frog foods, and flankers in the sky. The second half of the 1950s was the era of Khrushchev. He believed that ballistic missiles were the best way to deliver atomic weapons and that surface-to-air missiles were the most effective option to defend airspace. Consequently, developing new aircraft was nearly impossible, and efforts focused on modernizing existing models. Under these circumstances, Sukhoi initially began developing the Su-11, a modernized version of the Su-9. Development of the Su-15 started in March 1960 under the factory designation T-58. It was further modernization of the Su-11, featuring a longer range radar, wider viewing angles, and higher performance missiles. Initial design remained single engine. Because a large radar could not fit into the Su-11's nose with its axisymmetric air intake, Sukhoi engineers adopted a side intake design. Initial work on the T-58 progressed rapidly, but the Soviet Air Force soon increased its requirements. The new interceptor now needed to engage targets at altitudes up to 88,500 feet and speeds up to Mach 2.1. Sukhoi responded with a T-58 variant initially called Su-15, equipped with the Vickers radar, the Pollet automatic control system, and new K-40 missiles. Although Moscow had not yet issued an official demand to develop such an aircraft, Sukhoi continued its work semi-officially, aiming to complete construction of a prototype, now redesignated as Su-11M, by September 1961. However, the company had to put the project on hold in the summer. At the same time, Su-7B and Su-9 pilots and technicians criticized AL-7F engines for their unreliability. The T-58 still relied on this turbojet. On the other hand, the rival interceptor from Yakovlev, the Yak-28P, used more reliable Tumansky R-11s. When Moscow revised air defense plans for 1962 to 1965, it included only the Yak-28P and Tu-28 for serial production, excluding the T-58. The MiG-21 was already replacing the Su-7 and Su-9 in new orders. Sukhoi was on the verge of bankruptcy, but refused to surrender. It made the crucial decision to replace the single AL-7F with two R-11F-300s. On February 5, 1962, Moscow finally issued a decree officially supporting the continuation of Sukhoi's work. Construction of the first prototype, the T-58D1, which was designed for flight performance and side air intake testing, was completed in April 1962. On May 30, 1962, the aircraft made its maiden flight. However, Sukhoi had to postpone the development deadline due to delays in radar work. On April 30, 1965, the USSR accepted the aircraft into service and authorized its entry into serial production. It received the official designation Su-15. The first pre-production jet was rolled out from the factory on February 21, 1966. In 1967, the 611th Fighter Aviation Regiment of the Moscow Air Defense District became the first operational unit to receive the aircraft. Initiating serial production of the Su-15s with NATO reporting name Flagon-A required several key modifications. Notably, the aileron's effectiveness had to be enhanced, leading to an increase in the span. The wingtips were fitted with extensions of reduced sweep, adding 720 mm to the wingspan. To reduce takeoff roll, Sukhoi extended the Su-15's flaps to 15 degrees, lowering takeoff speed by 20 kilometers per hour and the distance by 150 meters. This version entered production in 1969 and was designated by NATO as Flagon-D. The Soviet designation remained unchanged. Including other variants, Sukhoi produced 1,290 Su-15s by 1979. The semi-monocoque fuselage, wings, and tail were mainly constructed from aluminum alloys. Steel was used for several critical components, while a titanium alloy was used for parts of the rear fuselage. The tail section could be detached for engine replacement and maintenance. Air intakes were adjustable, featuring a vertical 3-stage braking wedge and a flap for an extra air intake. To enhance operation at high angles of attack, they were inclined 2.5 degrees from vertical. The Su-15 needed 1,100 meters to take off. With external fuel tanks, this distance increased to 1,650 meters. The usual landing run was 1,150 meters, but using a brake parachute could reduce this distance to as little as 850 meters. The Su-15 was capable of maneuvering up to 6.5 G. The aircraft had a rate of climb of 228 meters per second. It was unforgiving of pilot error. The Su-15 operated in coordination with ground control interception. The aircraft was vectored on the targets by ground radar stations, which transmitted instructions to the pilot through the Lazur S data link system. The initial production models carried 2 missiles. This number increased to 4, starting with its later extended wing version, the Flagon-D. The aircraft lacked an internal gun, but could be fitted with UPK-23 gun pods featuring 23mm twin-barreled Gusha-23L autocannons. In 1968, Sukhoi attempted to install a gun on the right wing root. As this modification required a comprehensive redesign, the plan was later abandoned. The Su-15 did not meet the Soviet Air Force's initial service ceiling requirements. After evaluating possible modifications, both designers and the military determined that increasing the flight altitude was not feasible. It was fitted with the RP-22 Ariel-D radar. The Su-15 lacked look-down, shoot-down capability. The single-seat Su-15 had a length of 21.33 meters, a wingspan of 8.61 meters, and a height of 5.1 meters. Its wing area was 36 square meters. The aircraft's empty and maximum takeoff weights were 10,220 and 18,000 kilograms, respectively. Powered by 2 Tumansky R-11 F2S 300 afterburning turbojets, each producing 61.38 kN thrust, it could reach a top speed of Mach 2.1. The Su-15 had a ferry range of 1,260 kilometers and a combat radius of 725 kilometers. Its service ceiling was 20,000 meters, equivalent to 65,615 feet. It featured 4 hardpoints capable of carrying UPK-23 gun pods, K-8 and R-60 air-to-air missiles. The T-58VD, also known as Su-15VD, was a prototype aircraft featuring 3 Kolosov lift jets in the center fuselage to enable short takeoff and landing. Its NATO reporting name is Flagon-B. The Su-15T, with NATO reporting name Flagon-E, was equipped with the Typhoon radar. The Su-15TM replaced the Su-15T due to the Typhoon radar's poor performance. It featured the advanced Typhoon M radar and aerodynamic improvements, including a new radome to enhance radar capability. Its NATO reporting name is Flagon-F. Later Su-15TM models included the Vozduh-1M data link and Sa-U-58 automatic control system, enabling fully automatic hands-off flight up to the final interception phase. When the aircraft was on a mission against targets at a higher altitude than itself, it reached the reference flight altitude while maintaining course, detected the target on radar, locked it for tracking, and upon approaching launch range, performed a ramp-up maneuver and launched the missile. The lower limit of the firing altitude was set by the radar's detection threshold against ground targets. The Su-15UT, designated as Flagon-C by NATO, was a twin-seat trainer without radar or combat capabilities. The Su-15UM, or Flagon-G, was the training version of the Su-15TM. Its variant with Typhoon M radar was the U-58UM, but it was not introduced into serial production. The Su-15 Shah was the proposed supersonic ground attack aircraft version. It never entered production. The Su-1530 shared the same radar and missiles as the MiG-25, but was never built. Sukhoi re-equipped an Su-15TM with R-25-300 engines, calling it the Su-15 BIS. Although it was approved for serial production, it was not built due to a shortage of engines. The Su-19, also known as the T-58PS, was an advanced version equipped with the Tumansky R-67-300 turbofan engines. It featured ogival wings and improved avionics suites with new look-down shoot-down radar and additional pylons for missiles. It was not built. Designed to intercept high-altitude NATO bombers such as the British Vulcan and the US B-52 Stratofortress, the Su-15 performed inadequately against low-flying fighters. During the mid-1970s, Turkish F-100s occasionally violated Soviet airspace. Although Su-15s based in the Georgian SSR scrambled to intercept them, the lack of look-down shoot-down capability allowed low-flying Super Sabres to evade them. On April 2, 1976, a P-2 Neptune from the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force inadvertently entered Soviet airspace near Sakhalin Island. Intercepted by an Su-15, which launched two air-to-air missiles, the Japanese aircraft remained undamaged as both missiles missed their targets. In July 1985, an Su-15 from the 54th Guards Fighter Aviation Regiment crashed into the Baltic Sea while attempting to intercept a low-flying Swedish Sh-37 Viggen reconnaissance aircraft. The Su-15 became notorious for shooting down civilian airliners. The first such incident occurred in 1978 when the aircraft attacked a Boeing 707 from Korean Airlines that veered into Soviet airspace near Murmansk. The airliner survived the missile strike and made a forced landing on a frozen lake, but two passengers lost their lives. In 1981, a Soviet Su-15 based in the Azerbaijan SSR scrambled to intercept a Canadair CL-44 operated by Transporte Aero Rio Platense, which was transporting illegal arms from Israel to Iran. Because the airliner flew at low altitude, the Su-15 could not use its missiles. The Soviet pilot then rammed and shut down the aircraft, resulting in 4 fatalities. The most tragic event occurred on September 1, 1983, when a Boeing 747 from Korean Airlines entered restricted Soviet airspace near Munduran Island. An Su-15TM based on Sakhalin intercepted and fired missiles at the airliner, striking its tail. The aircraft crashed into the Sea of Japan, and all 246 passengers and 23 crew members lost their lives. In 1975, the Su-15 was credited with shooting down at least 5 Swedish reconnaissance balloons sent to gather intelligence over Soviet territory. After the dissolution of the USSR in 1991, Russia and Ukraine inherited the remaining Flagons. The first retired the aircraft in 1993, while the latter waited until 1996 to decommission them. The Su-15 was not conventionally attractive, but possessed its own rough beauty. Designed for a single purpose, it was unsuitable for other roles. Its approval for serial production saved Sukhoi from certain bankruptcy and enabled the development of the later Fencer, Frogfoot, and Flanker. Despite its notoriety for downing airliners, the Flagon remains a legend of the First Cold War. Thanks for watching our video. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button to be notified of our new videos. For more contents like this, please consider clicking the join button to support our channel. And as always, we would greatly appreciate all of your likes, comments, and shares.